Welcome back. The California gubernatorial race heating up ahead of the state's primary election, which is on June 2nd. The latest Emerson College poll shows a tight race.
In just 9 days, California votes in the primary. On June 2nd, we decide who will lead the fourth largest economy on Earth. Today, I am giving my own subjective ranking of the top 7, not based on polls or party loyalty, but on what these people have actually done in office and what values they fight for. Starting at the bottom, Antonio Villaraigosa. On paper, this is the most experienced person in the race. Former Speaker of the California Assembly and former Mayor of Los Angeles for 8 years. As Speaker, he worked on top of a $13 billion surplus, and he authored a $9 billion school bond. As mayor, his campaign says violent crime dropped 48%. That's a real resume. His 2026 pitch is a $25 billion revenue bond program to help middle-income families buy homes. But here's the truth. The man is polling dead last at 4%, and the gray areas are loud. Back in 2010, he was investigated over 81 unreported tickets, courtside Lakers seats, $21,000 Oscars tickets. After office, he took a job with Herbalife, the company that paid a $200 million FTC settlement over pyramid scheme allegations that targeted Latino communities. In my honest opinion, when a career politician cannot disclose who is buying his concert tickets, I am not handing him a state budget. Xavier Becerra. Now this one's interesting, because by mid-May, he was actually leading the polls. As California Attorney General, he won a $575 million antitrust settlement against Sutter Health, the largest in state history, going after exactly the kind of healthcare monopoly that quietly inflates your medical bills. He filed 122 lawsuits against the first Trump administration, and he ran the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. His housing plan? Declare a state of emergency and use enforcement against cities that won't build. But here's the reality. On the exact same day as that final debate, in a Sacramento courtroom, Becerra's former political consultant, Dana Williamson, once Governor Newsom's chief of staff, pleaded guilty to a fraud scheme that drained $225,000 out of Becerra's own campaign account. Becerra is named a victim. He hasn't been charged, but on that stage, Steve Hilton told him he should be preparing his criminal defense. My take, a strong record. But he's the embodiment of the Sacramento machine, and that machine is exactly what made California unaffordable. Tom Steyer. And this is one of the strangest stories in the whole race. Steyer has spent around $193 million of his own money on this campaign. For perspective, Meg Whitman's record-setting self-funded run in 2010 was $144 million. Steyer blew past it, and he is still stuck in a three-way tie, polling in the teens. Money bought him reach, but it did not buy him trust. He built his fortune running Farallon Capital, a hedge fund that invested in coal mining, private prisons, and the Canadian oil sands, which is a strange foundation for a man who now runs as the climate candidate fighting big oil. He did this before, too. He spent over $250 million of his own money on a 2020 presidential run and won 0 delegates. What actually matters here is this. Steyer talks about oil companies ripping you off at the pump, and he is not wrong about the pain, but in my honest opinion, a billionaire trying to buy the governorship is not the answer to working families getting priced out. Katie Porter, and give her credit, Porter built her brand on the cost of living fight. She was the law professor put in charge of policing part of a $25 billion mortgage settlement with the banks after the foreclosure crisis. In Congress, she became famous for the whiteboard, grilling bank chief executive officers and making the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau fail basic math on a payday loan. Her platform is concrete: more affordable housing, free childcare, free tuition at state universities, no state income tax for lower earners. So why only number 4? 2 reasons. In October 2025, a video showed Porter berating a campaign staffer. She had been the frontrunner, and her numbers slid after that. And the consumer watchdog still holds stock in Capital One, the first company the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ever penalized. Here's the truth. I like a fighter who understands banks. but her plan leans on free this and free that. Now we move into my top 3. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco is the first major Republican to enter this race. Bianco is a straight-talking law and order guy. He was re-elected sheriff in 2022 with around 60%. He was named Sheriff of the Year by the Claremont Institute. And on the economy, his message is simple, and it resonates. Crime and disorder are not just a safety problem, they are an economic one. When shoplifting and homeless encampments hammer Main Street businesses, that is jobs and storefronts lost. That is the part he gets right. But I told you I would be honest, so here it is. 18 people died in Riverside County jails in 2022, the most in 15 years. In 2023, the State Department of Justice opened an investigation into his department. He was a member of the Oath Keepers, exposed in a 2021 database hack. In April 2026, he ordered the seizure of more than 650,000 ballots from the redistricting referendum. The state attorney general said those warrants failed basic constitutional standards, and the judge who signed them had endorsed Bianco's campaign. My take: solid instincts on crime and the economy, real questions on judgment. Number 2, and this might surprise you, Matt Mahan, the Democratic mayor of San Jose. Here's why he's this high. Mahan actually governs inside the affordability crisis. San Jose is the least affordable major city in America for housing, and unlike most of this field, he makes hard calls. He backed a plan to arrest homeless people who refuse shelter 3 times in 18 months. He moved to redirect up to 90% of a real estate tax toward emergency shelter, and he endorsed Proposition 36, the tough-on-crime measure, breaking with his own governor and his own party to do it. That's a results guy, not a slogan guy. The gray areas? He's never finished a full term in elected office, and he raised $13 million, largely from Silicon Valley billionaires like Sergey Brin and Joe Lonsdale. In my honest opinion, Mahan is the most pragmatic Democrat here, but pragmatism with a thin resume. And my number 1, Steve Hilton. Here's why. Of all 7 candidates, he is the only one who actually brought a specific, no-nonsense economic plan that attacks the root of the problem instead of just managing the symptoms. He calls it Californiable. Eliminate the state income tax on the first $100,000 you earn. Get gas prices back down to $3 a gallon. Right now, they are sitting at over $6 a gallon. Cut electricity bills in half. Kill the ridiculous $800 annual franchise tax that California charges small businesses just for existing. That last one matters a lot. It is exactly the kind of regulation that punishes the Main Street businesses this channel is all about. His personal story fits the message perfectly. His parents fled the 1956 Hungarian Revolution. His mother worked in a shoe store, and the family lived on government benefits for a time. He is not some trust fund kid pretending to understand what regular Californians are going through. Now, the honest part. In April 2026, Donald Trump endorsed him. In a deep blue state, this endorsement definitely locks down the Republican base, but it also caps his ceiling with independents. And yes, during the debate, he slightly overstated when he called San Jose the most expensive city in the world. It's the most expensive in America. But here is what actually matters. Hilton is the only candidate treating taxes and overregulation as the actual disease, not just a side effect. He is the only one willing to challenge the system that is driving families and businesses out of California, fueling the housing crisis, and letting big developers and insiders profit from the chaos. That's exactly why he's my number 1. So there's my ranking. At the end of the day, if you ask me what matters most for California's economy, making life more affordable, fixing housing, lowering the cost of living, and giving small businesses and working families some breathing room, then in my honest opinion, Steve Hilton is the strongest candidate on the ballot right now. Here's the reality. California has one of the largest economies in the world, yet so many people are struggling just to stay here. The question isn't whether we need more government programs or more spending. The real question is whether we're finally willing to change the rules of the game that have made this state so expensive and so difficult for regular people to thrive. You might completely disagree with my take, and that's totally fine. A lot of you probably will. This is exactly why elections matter. I'd love to hear your own ranking and who you think is the best choice for California's future. Early voting is already underway, and the primary is just days away on June 2nd. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more honest takes on U.S. politics, and I'll see you in the next one.